things which have really helped me is understanding the business. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I have seen people make, and probably I was also part of that in the early phases of my career, is to look at our roles in a silo
Right.
and say, if I do what I need to do, what I've been asked to do, I think that is good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably to keep my job. But then, how do I thrive? How do I grow
Yeah.
as a professional? Understanding the business, I think, is one of the key factors.
Sure.
And what I mean by understanding the business is, again, not about any line of business that I might have been associated with, but the entire organization as a whole.
Right.
I think
Yes.
that's one key metric that is required for growth.
Sure.
Second is understanding and managing stakeholders. That's
Yes.
the other mistake we make.
Yeah.
You know, usually we tend to say one size fits all,
Mm.
and we say we have a cookie cutter approach of a list of things that we need to do, and we go do that, try and do that with everyone. But we need to understand that, after all, every individual, every manager, leader is, or every employee for that matter, is a human being, and
Yeah.
each one has a unique style, depending on the role, the responsibility, the situation, the background, the environment, etc., etc. So many factors,
Yes.
and adapting to that style,
Mm.
adapting to the situation, adapting to the context
Yeah.
is very, very important. So understanding stakeholder has been my second key thriving
Mm.
factor, or
Yeah.
factor to thrive, if I may.
Sure.
And third is, as a learning professional, especially also as a HR and learning professional, making learning contextual.
Yeah. Yes.
Again, a cookie cutter approach
Mm.
stating we have a list of 15 programs, like it or not, this is what we will do, or this
Yeah.
is what we have to offer, take it or leave it,
Right.
is those days are gone. Yeah, probably they did work probably
Mm.
15, 20 years ago, but not
Mm.
anymore.
Yeah.
So, keeping in line with the evolving business dynamics,
Yeah.
keeping in line with evolving generational trends
Yes.
of focus, of patience or lack of it, as I may say, and the need in which the focus has to be addressed,
Yes.
are three things. So, making learning contextual and need based
Yeah.
are three key things which we need to keep evolving as we grow.
Absolutely.
So, that is how I would look at it. So, the era in which, both of them, both these groups of people have grown, are completely different.
Right.
And unlike from my era, dinosaur era, as I call it, ours was a very steady, slow learning curve and change that was happening. But that's
Yes.
not the case in the last 15, 20 years.
True.
It's just jumping as technology has changed, as environments have changed, as the world, more of globalization has happened. The
Yeah.
opportunity for the younger generation to have access to more resources, the amount of social media
Yes.
exposure in general,
Yeah.
everything, the internet has exploded. So
Yes.
therefore, how do we cater to that? So my approach would probably be to say, for the Gen Z, for the millennials, etc., the approach would be to say short, bite-sized learning which matches their attention span,
Yes.
which is probably as high as a rat's eye, and how do you keep them engaged?
Yeah.
It's not about theoretical presentations or content just in the form of text, etc., simulations, gamification, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Short, bite-sized learning is what I would,
Sure.
advocate.
Sure.
For the slightly older generation, unfortunately, we already have to call them older generation. It's a little bit more nuanced,
Mm.
because they probably grew up without the help of all this technology. So they're adapting to a lot of these dynamic changes which are happening. So how do you
Yes.
bridge those? Encourage them to, for example, whatever said and done.
Mm.
Sorry if I'm going to be candid here. Whatever
Sure.
said and done, e-learning is still a, I would say, nascent industry, because people's focus from the older generation is not there.
True.
We're all used to that instructor-led, in-person, face-to-face
Yeah.
kind of a audience that we have catered to,
Yes.
and so a nice hybrid between the two,
Yeah.
letting them know that we are there for you to support, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we can't spend all the time. Neither do you have the time to spend in the classroom.
Yeah.
Here is a set of technology-enabled learning programs or initiatives that you can go through at your own pace. So
Yes.
how you communicate
Yeah.
this is as equally important as what is it that you want to communicate. I think
Absolutely.
those would be the approaches in which trying to understand their
Great.
needs and addressing. I think it's a combination of both. My only advice or my key advice would be is, and I get a lot of youngsters and mid-level professionals who reach out to me for advice or just help or suggestions or recommendations.
Yeah.
And the first thing they ask me is about, I think it will help if I do this certification, right? So my sincere and humble submission would be to say, great to have that certification. But if you think you're going to apply whatever you learned in that certification verbatim into the real world, it's
Mm.
not going to work. You'll be surprised, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
environment in the real world is different to what is taught in theory.
Yes. Absolutely.
How do you take that knowledge, adapt it to the real time environment, and be
Yes.
able to apply it? I think that is key.
Absolutely.
Paper certifications, paper degrees, very welcome, no
Yes.
doubt. It will probably strengthen your resume if somebody is looking at it.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, they are still going to ask you questions around that, and your ability to answer those questions and make sense
Yes.
for your work environment is going to be key. So
Absolutely.
that's my first recommendation to the youngsters.
Sure.
Second is, I go back to point one I mentioned:
Mm.
understand your environment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're not here. For example, when I joined one of my earlier organizations,
Mm.
I was just getting to know, the environment and talking to my team and say what's going on and what are all the things that we do, etc.
Mm.
Um, they had a very simple answer. All my questions were answered in 5 minutes.
Mm.
Because they just came up with a list of programs and say, we keep running these programs. This is technical, this is behavioral. We have this list of programs. We keep
Yeah.
going around asking everybody what programs you want every month, and we keep delivering them.
Uh,
I said, how has it made a difference?
mm.
Have you been able to attract audiences to your program? Right?
Yes.
And have we had a chance to follow up on whether it was useful? Whom did we talk to, etc.? So
Yeah.
the next obvious answer was that yes, yeah, we take a feedback at the end of each session.
Yes.
So that's a
Mm.
very standard approach. I didn't blame them because that's what they were exposed to.
Right.
And then, changing that perspective,
Mm. Mm.
right? And saying, this is not your job.
Mm.
This is only part of your job.
Yeah.
What is it that you're doing to the business? How
Mm.
are you impacting the business? They
Mm.
say. So then my next set of questions to them was, so it was a manufacturing organization. So I said, which plants manufacture what products? Is there
Mm.
a differentiation? Or
Yeah.
do all of them do everything?
Yeah.
Then if yes, our approach has to be different.
Yes.
So they had no answers, right?
Mm.
I said, which part of the organization has more challenges that you've been hearing?
Yeah.
Is it the corporate, or is it one of the plants or all the plants? If yes, what cadre of employees, etc.
Yeah.
So it was an eye opener for them in the sense that these are strange questions coming from this guy. We have this list of programs, we just need to go deliver.
Yeah.
And so then we started going around talking to plant heads, talking to business managers,
Mm.
and they said, well, honestly, nobody has ever asked this question, but yes, here is a laundry list of things that we are facing challenges with.
Okay.
I said, that's what we need to address.
Yeah.
So, understanding the business, talking to your key stakeholders, first of all, knowing who your key stakeholders are
Yeah.
and understanding what their challenges are. I think that
Yes.
is a key piece of advice I would give to all the young aspiring learning and development professionals.
Great. Great. Great.
Great. So, thank you. So, see, I think training needs, once again, just because we have a learning management system or we have a tool to capture data,
Yeah.
rolling out a survey and asking people to fill it is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But then are your ears on the ground?
Mm.
Are your eyes on the ground of
Yes.
what's happening?
Yes.
You don't need to really even begin to ask questions. Before you begin to ask questions, you just need to look around.
Yes.
You see the morale of people,
Yeah.
there is a problem if it is low.
Mm.
You hear conversations which are happening around the coffee
Yes.
machine,
Yes.
or lunch rooms or in meetings, the energy that people bring out in meetings.
Yeah.
Yes. So being part of those informal forums is
Mm.
my first, real taste of the world,
Yes.
to say
Absolutely.
things look very good or things are not looking good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Using that information is where constant conversations with managers and leaders needs to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if there is a manager or leader who says, hey, you know what, everything is hunky dory, pink and
Mm.
rosy, then
Mm.
you bring out these points to say, but this is what I've been hearing or
Mm.
observing.
Mm.
What's your take on it?
Yeah.
You can probably, it's an eye opener for them,
Absolutely.
because managers and leaders, unfortunately, don't seem to be having that kind of empathy or
Mm.
time to invest in people.
Yeah.
We're running after numbers.
Yes.
Perfectly normal for a business house.
Right.
But that's the key balance that we need to bring in.
Mm.
So, my way of looking at it is constantly talk to leaders
Yes.
and managers, understand whether they know about their team, first of all. If not,
Yes.
be that shoulder
Mm.
which can provide that support to them and say, but this is what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a problem? Can we address that? Or
Mm.
if something is going very good, why
Mm.
don't we build on it and take it to the next level?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And gather those needs
Mm.
from the
Mm.
leadership level. And
Yes.
then talk to the different teams, have a lot of focus groups. I think
Mm.
those conversations are so key, rather than saying it's a technology world, we don't have the time,
Yeah.
and here is a tool, fill it in, we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
I remember
Absolutely.
that old Hero Honda had fill it, shut it, forget it. Now we are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Fill it, download it, forget it. It's not going to
Perfect.
work anymore. Feedback is generally, unfortunately, gone into a lot of perception based or recency effect based mode, right?
Yeah.
Due to which performance tends to drop
Mm.
or tends to pick up depending on what is the feedback all about. I
Yes.
start from there.
Mm.
Reason being, um, what is it that is affecting the performance positively or negatively,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that positive effect, how can we carry it forward to the rest of the team or rest of the unit or rest of the organization? If
Yes.
it is negative, it could well be possible that it is a personal situation,
Mm.
or the manager, or the business, or the environment. So understanding that root cause is very, very critical.
Absolutely.
Very recently, I was having a chat with someone who wanted some help, and said, just need a conversation. So I said, yeah, sure, let's go ahead. What's
Mm.
your problem? So he mentioned a lot of issues that he's facing, related, work related, unable to focus, is that. So I said, kept asking questions about, do you think it is possibly the nature of the project that you're working on which is not exciting you?
Mm.
Could it be possible that you don't have any team members, you're an individual contributor? Is that something which is impacting? And
Mm.
if yes, then so on and so forth. We're having a
Mm.
conversation. Ultimately, after 45 minutes, it turned out
Mm.
that the patchy connectivity issue that he was having working from home with his internet service provider was
Ah.
leading to all these thought processes. So there was no training involved there. Right?
Right. Right.
So where is the performance issue coming in?
Yeah.
Unrelated to work.
Absolutely.
So attacking that root cause. So I said, is that something then you want to address?
Yes.
Change your provider and see if it's making a difference. And
Yes.
it's been about a month, and last Thursday or so I received a message stating, chief, things looking good, thank you, we'll talk soon. I said,
Mm.
that's all I needed to hear.
Absolutely.
And I'm no magician here. You need to realize yourself what's happening. But as learning professionals, I think it's important for us to understand that conversation and lead it in a manner which gives us the root cause. And
Absolutely.
needless to say, put measures in place. The other problem is improper goal setting.
Right.
I think that also impacts a lot of performance, right?
Mm. Mm.
You don't know, you don't give clarity on what is it that you're expected to achieve,
Yes.
and you're just doing things on a day-to-day basis. So
Yes.
even small goals, but setting those deadlines, setting those goals, and keep tweaking them as they go along. Only upon achieving a
Right.
certain milestone, having those
Yes.
milestones, I think makes a lot of difference. I hope that made sense.
No,